Hi, everybody. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee. We have the nighttime GFS and a lot to talk about here, so we'll get right to it. And here's our big upper low that brought in all the cold air that we're experiencing now. And right here, tomorrow evening, is the disturbance that moves into the Pacific Northwest, into the Rockies, and then dives down southward. And you can see it here by this time Thursday. You have a rather vigorous upper air system that moves into Kansas. In the meantime, you still have this northwest flow here, and that's important because that is continuing to feed cold air into the northeast and into the mid-Atlantic states. And what happens with this southern system now, here we are at this time Friday morning. Now we've talked about the fact that how these southern systems are tilted is important, and you'll notice that the tilt runs from St. Louis to Brownsville, north, northeast, south, southwest. So it's a positively tilted trough here, which is what you want to see at the point that it gets to the Mississippi River. You don't want it anchored this way because that's already at the point where it's going to start lifting up to our west. So we're going to completely rule that out because you've got this strong northern jet and northwest flow that's preventing that from happening. And what happens is over time, you get a ridge that builds along the East Coast to some degree. That allows this upper low to really amplify, and you can see how it deepens as it moves toward the Virginia coast. The northern jet still in place here, so there's cold air all over the place. And there we have the upper system. It goes out underneath New York City, southeast of Atlantic City, and then eventually by Sunday morning, you've got that south of Nantucket, east of Atlantic City right here. And then it moves away. Now, how does this all translate to what we're going to see where we live on ground level? So let's take a look at this sector, and we're going to now I'll switch it over to show you how it looks like on the surface. So here we are at right now, and there's a lead system here, very weak. It falls apart, so it's not really of any consequence. But this is all cold air here. It's very cold across much of New England and back up through eastern Canada. There's the start of our surface low in northern Texas. It moves into northern Mississippi. You can see how high pressure now is building back through Minnesota and the Dakotas, and it kind of has this sort of banana shape that forms from where the high is to another high center up in northern Pennsylvania. And then as we move along, there's your surface low. You have high pressure bananaed all the way around down the coast. Your rain snow line is running at this point, this stage of the game, down into southernmost Virginia, and then extends into southernmost West Virginia. And there's your surface low. Now, what happens is that primary low is going to die out because all the room is here for the energy to go to, and a secondary develops off North Carolina. So now we're at Friday evening. Snow is at our doorstep. There's some rain in far southern New Jersey to Cape Cod down to Delmarva, which is what you would typically expect in this sort of situation. And the low intensifies. It's just east of Elizabeth City. And this by Saturday morning, you have a fairly deep low sitting east of the Delmarva Peninsula, south of New York City. You have snow over Long Island, all of New Jersey, except for the coast and maybe the southeastern part of the state. But notice back through here in southeast Pennsylvania and back over through most of Maryland, Baltimore to Washington, D.C., you've got this big dark blue patch of heavy snow. We'll move the low along as it just kind of inches eastward. All snow across Long Island, central New Jersey, down into southwest Jersey, still a big band of heavy snow down in southeastern PA, back over to Chesapeake Bay, and that snow now has moved into Boston by Monday afternoon. By Saturday afternoon. By Saturday evening, the low translates a little further east. Actually, there's one low center that's here, and it just winds up as it occludes out. What happens is you get another low that forms out to the east at the point where the warm front and cold front meet. So this low slowly dies out and a new one reforms. It just this is just typical of how these storms behave. But you can see it's all snow Saturday evening from Boston over Long Island to all of New Jersey. Even the coast now has changed back to snow extending down and still showing some very heavy snows over the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. Sunday morning, you have a low center that's still sitting out just south of 40 and 70, or just very close to it. And we still have snows going Sunday morning. Probably at this point, it's beginning to just taper off and ending. And then we're done by just shortly after daybreak on Sunday. So it comes in a little bit faster and it goes out just a little bit faster. But in terms of the length of duration, it's about the same. This is a major storm that's being indicated. Still, I would like to see what the European does with this. I'm imagining that it's going to be close. One of the remarkable things about the last 4 or 5 days with respect to this system that has been doesn't happen very often at all. I probably can count them on my hands when models, all 3 major models, have locked on to a system, a strong storm, so early in the game, and they just basically hang on to that picture right away through, all the way through with some variation. Now, in terms of total liquid precip, I'd be very cautious because I've seen a number of times where the models early on will show heavy precip in one area, and then it winds up shifting to other areas where it may not be showing precip as heavy. In terms of liquid precipitation on this map, we're looking at basically 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches of liquid across Long Island, much of southern New England, in through southeastern New York, all of New Jersey, and then you get into these sort of 2 and 3 and even 4-inch liquid amounts that are being indicated over the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. I mean, if this were to verify, we're talking about some really incredible snow numbers that would result. Again, I would really just kind of take that part of this part of the equation with a grain of salt. Could it happen? Sure. Is it going to happen the way it looks like this? I really don't know. We'll get a little bit closer, and you can see how this is liquid precipitation. I'll show you the snow maps again. View these cautiously because they change so much, but based on all those liquid precip amounts, you can see there's this large area of 1 foot plus snows that goes from much of southern New England, almost all of Long Island, except maybe right along the immediate coast, of some foot plus amounts that extend back to New York City. You see it prints out a 20 there in northern New Jersey, and then you have these 30-inch plus amounts. I have so much trouble fathoming when the models do this, because my immediate instinct is to want to take them all and cut them by at least 1/3. But the bottom line is that the model is showing a major winter storm here and a major nor'easter. And I would just point out the other thing that I think is important for coastal residents here. I'm going to go back to the surface map and just pull it back. You have all the ingredients here for some really, really strong coastal flooding issues for southern New England right down through the Delmarva Peninsula, particularly because Saturday is a full moon. So there is going to be some moderate to strong coastal flooding through all this area here. So if you're a coastal resident, regardless of what the snow outcome is of all of this, you're going to want to pay close attention here, because if we have a deep storm, I mean, even if it winds up, if it were to wind up changing over to rain for a little while, I honestly don't think it would make a difference in terms of total snow amounts, because then you'll just get it on the backside anyway. But my point is, with respect to coastal flooding, I mean, you're talking about strong gales here going on beginning probably Saturday during the overnight Friday night into Saturday morning, and then continuing right through Saturday and into Sunday. So you're talking about at least 2 high tide cycles here where you're going to have some problems. So pay close attention. You can go to my marine forecast page and get the high tide times for your particular point. There are widgets on that page. You can just put in your specific area and see what the tide times are and what the forecast tide heights are. So this is the GFS in total. Remains remarkably consistent from prior runs. Really no major changes in terms of what it shows, which is kind of what I expected. And we'll see what the day runs bring tomorrow. I think the odds of this happening are increasing pretty strongly. To see this so consistent for so many runs now really kind of puts a lock on things to some degree. So now we're just going to, we're going to wait till tomorrow, till Wednesday, to start focusing in on how this all plays out in terms of the specifics, how it plays out in terms of maybe an early call snow forecast. I really don't feel comfortable about doing that right now because I just would like to wait a little bit longer. There's plenty of time, but the odds of a major winter storm are certainly increasing as each hour passes with what the model has done tonight. So have a good Tuesday, and check in at the website from time to time today. I'll be putting posts up all day long regarding this, and I may actually even stay awake for the European tonight and put the European analysis up a little early for you if you want to stay awake, or just catch it when you get up first thing in the morning.